Greetings. This is Coach Veronica Marie, and I'm here to talk a little bit about anxiety as a frightened aspect of the self. We've been talking about the way that programs affect our minds and how those thoughts generate emotions and how those emotions cause us to respond. The programs that are in our head, the programs are not true, but they either were true in the past or they were true because of the way that we interpreted a situation and we received it as true. Either way, the anxiety from the past no longer is applicable in the present. So I try to give you different ways of thinking about it, hoping that one way will stand out to you and really begin to turn the tides for you. Anxiety is a part of this existence. It's a part of the time space reality that we live in. The best thing we can do is acknowledge the anxiety, bring our body out of the stress response, and then begin to reprogram the brain. I think it's important that when you sense an anxiety episode coming upon you, one of the first things you can do is recognize that this is a frightened aspect of myself. It's a self that went through something traumatizing, something that was strong in emotion, intensely negative, or this self experienced something hurtful repeatedly. And as a result, it's programmed to detect and avoid the trigger in any and every case. That frightened aspect of yourself, it's a past version of yourself. That self was not equipped with the information that you are receiving now. That self was likely very unconscious in a lot of ways. That self didn't have the support. And so the result was that self did what he or she or they could do. And that's enough. It was quite smart of your being actually to program your system in order to naturally avoid certain things. But now that you are wiser, older, more mature, you have more tools, more resources, more support, you can begin to look at that past situation in a different way. You see, your anxiety is closely associated with the story line of the past. If in the past you have been overwhelmed by financial burdens, then you've learned that that is to be avoided at any cost. Maybe it was a situation where you faced an unexpected bill, or maybe a person took money away from you, or maybe you lost a job, or whatever the case is, it was a real situation and your brain programmed you to avoid it, even to fear it in order that you would avoid it. But now the situation is different. I'm sure you can see differences in your current situation versus your past situation. I don't ever suggest that you discard your old self and the old way of thinking. Discarding, no. Ignoring, no. Suppressing, no. I believe in acknowledging. The first part of acknowledging is that I feel a way, and the way that I feel is rooted in the past. This is a very frightened aspect of myself, and it makes sense that I'm frightened in this way. I would like to understand myself more in this area so I can see what things, what activities will help this self feel more comfortable so we can integrate the self into our current way of being. That's something to think about. Whenever I have a past self talking to me, I always listen. I don't ignore it. I don't invalidate it. I don't suppress it. I acknowledge it. I feel whatever it is I feel. The next question is, what emotions and what thoughts are accompanying this feeling that I'm identifying? What thoughts? What are the thoughts? When you identify the thoughts, you can ask yourself, where have I thought like this before? You'll see it's a pattern. If you trace the pattern as far back as your memory will allow, you'll see the origin, or at least one of the points of origin. You can then look at that situation and go, okay, what didn't I know then that I know now? What didn't I see then that I see now? What choices do I see now that I didn't see then? The point of doing this is that you can begin to take an alternative storyline. You can look back on this self with grace and compassion and acceptance rather than disdain, rather than demeaning the self. You now see the self as important enough to reflect upon, important enough to understand, important enough to shift. I hope this is making sense. So my goal here is to give you different ways to think about anxiety, hoping that one of these ways will stand out to you and begin to help you change the trajectory. Always listen to the frightened aspects of yourself. Do I mean go and do what the frightened aspects are telling you to do? No. I mean, listen, understand, acknowledge, question. See how the past situation is different from your current situation. See how you're such a different person now that you couldn't possibly react the same ways or be affected in the same way. See what's different and have compassion for yourself, grace for yourself. One of the ways I like to assist my past self once I've done the things that I'm talking about is I'll say, can I tell you something about that situation? And I will allow myself to respond, yes, because that feels gentle. And then I'll begin to tell that self what I see. You know, you were going through a lot and you didn't see that at the time. This is very much a current process in me. There was so much going on around you that you could not pay attention to everything. That's human. But now you see, now you know your blind spots. Now you're equipped. So, can we take a step in a different direction today? This is how I deal with myself. This is how I deal with my children. This is how I know to heal the soul. We do it with gentleness. We do it with care. We do it with concern. We do it wanting understanding. We do it desiring to assist that self. My name is Veronica Marie. If you need one-on-one coaching, you can sign for that on my website at veronicamarie.com. You can send me an email on my website. You can also check out any program I have going on. I often run programs to help you with various things. I have on Facebook Healing Anxiety Group, which is what this teaching is rooted in. I have a Path to Peace group. We're done with that journey, but you can still start from day one. I have some other things coming down the pipeline, so stay tuned. Sign up for a newsletter, and I'll be sure to inform you there. And that's all I have for tonight. I hope you have a beautiful night. Remember, all the things that you are learning will assist you in healing anxiety. My name is Veronica Marie.